Good people, hello. It's June 2nd, and I'm already feeling like I want to read Storyteller. I just opened the book and today I changed my shield. Let me flip my computer around real quick so you can see it. See if that can I don't know if you saw that or not, but that's Storyteller. She's sitting in the middle of the beautiful red road of life, and her color is red. The reason I want to read is Rob Bresney, his email that I just got was comparing something Rebecca Solnit said with something Byron, what's his last name? Kate, I think it's Byron Katie, I think, said that Byron Katie was saying, don't get stuck in your story, don't be a storyteller, versus what Rebecca Solnit was saying, tell your story. And then another person I like to listen to, um, her name is Vina Hill. She has a shirt that says, uh, real, not perfect. And all of these things are just compelling me to read the story because it's already showing up in my life. I'm dedicating today's reading to my lodge sister, Teddy Tapscott, who passed into spirit a few days ago. Beloved elder of our spiritual community, larger than life, stronger than steel, and embodiment of pure love. And she gave the best hugs I've ever had in my life. This is to you, Teddy. Storyteller. Tell me a story, sweet mother, of the ancestors in their days, of how they walked with beauty, learning the medicine ways. As you relate the stories, I am allowed to see the importance of every lesson and how it applies to me. Through another's example, I share the laughter and the tears. Through another's experience, I learn how love can conquer fear. Together we can journey through those other times, reclaiming all the wisdom of the legacies left behind. Storyteller is the clan mother of the moon cycle that falls in the month of June and is represented by the color red. Storyteller teaches us to have faith. Excuse me. Um, that's Zara's ball. She's playing with me in the background. Storyteller teaches us to have faith, to be humble, and to stay young at heart by keeping our innocence intact. These are some of the medicines found in the color red. The sixth cycle of truth guarded by this clan mother is speaking the truth. Storyteller teaches her human children how to speak from their hearts, always saying what they mean in a truthful, clear, and concise manner. This clan mother is the teacher of truth and the pathfinder who shows us the faith we need to find our way through the illusory forests of our own confusion. Storyteller teaches us that speaking the truth is the basis of the oral tradition that keeps universal, timeless wisdom alive. The hard-learned lessons that have guided other human beings safely down the red road of physical life apply to all humans because they are based on eternal truth. Storyteller teaches us how to use humor to dispel our fears and how to balance the sacredness with irreverence. That's been showing up too. When we can laugh at our humanness and our silly attempts to preserve our limitations, we will have conquered the self-creative demons that bind us to high drama and our need to create constant upheaval. Through listening to the stories of others and how they handled the lessons presented on their paths, we are able to gain perspective on our own rites of passage on earth. This clan mother is also the holder of Heyoka medicine, tricking us into growth through laughter. Zara is standing as our Heyoka medicine person at the moment. Zara, would you like to say hello to the camera? Let's see if you can see Zara. There she is. Say hello. Okay. Heyoka in a good way. The Heyoka can show us how to achieve the wholeness, our Arenda's desire, by going through the back door or contrary side of any lesson. The spiritual essence or the Arenda sees beyond human tunnel vision and can work with Heyoka medicine to push us beyond our stubbornness. The Heyoka will clown around, giving us subtle lessons that we can reflect upon or ignore. Storyteller can also weave a story that embodies the characteristics of a person's life lessons without pointing a finger at the individual. The Heyoka personality of Storyteller then tricks the listener into safely seeing his or her situation through the eyes of an observer instead of having to confront the issue head on. Storyteller uses the gifts of wisdom presented by the ancient ones now in spirit to present the truths that helped those ancestors. When truth has been used to solve life's problems or challenges, those truths are to be shared with future generations. Storyteller and her moon cycle are connected to the color red because blood is red. The wisdom of all human ancestors and their lessons are coded in the DNA of the blood. In traditional Indian medicine, the blood has always been acknowledged as the river of life that flows through our bodies, allowing us to claim the knowing held by the wise elders who came before us. Only in modern times have scientists discovered that the DNA carries the genetic imprint, but they have not discovered that the collective mind and spirit of the human race can be accessed through the patterns of DNA in every human cell and in the blood. Storyteller allows every listener to hear the stories of how others found truth in their lives. Through the words of truth she speaks, this clan mother teaches us to know how to speak from our personal truths and from our sacred points of view when we are asked for an opinion. When we are not asked to make a comment, she teaches us to listen without having to add our unwanted advice. The guardian of the medicine stories reminds us that speaking the truth never hurts another if it is done with love. And if we do not include the projections of self-righteousness or the petty judgments we often use to criticize ourselves. Speaking the truth is an art that never acknowledges, or that never includes judging another. Pointing a finger at another always leaves 3 fingers pointing back at the accuser. This kind of judgment never allows the person who is the target of the criticism to find the truth for himself or herself. Like Storyteller, a person wishing to speak the truth without pointing a finger can share a story of how he or she learned a lesson or passed safely through a crisis. This teacher of truth reminds us that people who are passing half-truths, breaking the trust of a confidence, or being rumor factories are doing so because they are wounded, because of their inability to speak the truth, even to themselves. They project that the lies and the illusions inside their woundedness onto the nearest human reflection or situation they can find. The telling of tales. The story begins. Storyteller looked into the faces of the children who had gathered around her to listen to the stories she would share with her tribe's council of wee people. The fire was reflected in the expectant faces of the little ones, giving Storyteller an audience of rapt admirers. The love they felt for Storyteller came from the way the clan mother treated them with respect. Storyteller had taught the preceding generations of many clans and tribes that the children were full-grown spirits in tiny bodies. Hence, the Council of Children became the Council of Wee People, WEE. The night sky was moonless, bringing thousands of stars into view. I'm going to pause because I have a memory when I read things like that. That goes back to when I lived in Joshua Tree, and I would stand in my driveway in my dark neighborhood and look up at the sky, and the stars would snow. And I did snow. I felt them snowing all around me. It was just pure magic and it never failed. It's a beautiful memory, and I'm grateful to have it. This sleep began the new moon cycle of the ripening moon. The starry medicine bowl of the night sky gave everyone a sense that something spectacular was about to happen. The breeze carried the sweet perfume of mimosa blossoms that dangled from the branches of the tree people who encircled the clan mother's lodge. Lightning bugs danced in the air around the tall cattails. Wild mint and red clover lined brook that snaked through the camp. Occasionally, fireflies would flicker and twinkle in the warm summer night. Our fireflies should be coming out pretty soon. That's exciting. So exciting. Storyteller decided that it was a perfect time to share the story of how Firefly got his blinking light. The children who made up the Council of Wee People were entranced by the clan mother, stars, and the dancing fireflies, trying to decide what was more interesting to their curious minds. Nawe Skenio, thank you for being healthy. Storyteller began with a traditional greeting that brought the children's wandering attention back to her. The little ones knew that this greeting was the formal sign that they were to settle down, to be very still, and to listen without interrupting. Oh, come on, fan, blow on me. Oh, it gets warm on the second floor of this house. I'm wiping my bra. Okay, where are we? Okay, so Storyteller only told short stories to this council of wee people because the youngest children, who had passed only 3 summers, had much shorter attention spans than the older ones, who were also a part of the council. When a child passed his or her 11th summer, the boys moved to the Young Warriors Council, and the girls joined the Council of the Butterfly, which prepared them for their budding and blossoming transformation into womanhood. Storyteller cleared her throat and began her tale. Many long moons ago, the firefly was known by another name. He was a star, and his name was Forgets to Twinkle. This little brother was a part of the great star nation and lived with his 7 sister stars who are still shining brightly there in the sky. Storyteller pointed to the 7 stars inside the constellation of the Great Buffalo, showing the children where to look. The 7 sister stars held the 7 sacred directions of east, south, west, north, above, below, and within, teaching all of us in the human tribe to honor the abundance that the great buffalo brings to us from every direction. Forgets to Twinkle was always sad because his sisters had the missions of holding the 7 sacred directions for the great buffalo, and he wasn't sure what his mission was. He was so very sad that sometimes he let his light fade away, and that is how he earned his name, Forgets to Twinkle. Come on, fan. Let's get you to stay. Thank you for your patience. We need this fan to stay blowing. This direction. Right there. All right. Perfecto. Now, oh, that feels nice. Okay, so Forgets to Twinkle. So one sleep, when Grandmother Moon was showing her full face, Forgets to Twinkle asked her for permission to leave the Sky Nation to go nearer to the Earth Mother to discover more about his purpose in life. Grandmother Moon said that Forgets to Twinkle could go, but that he should be careful not to get too close to the Earth. The Earth Mother's magnetism could hold him and keep him from coming home. Forgets to Twinkle agreed that he would pay attention and only travel where it was safe. On the first sleep, Forgets to Twinkle traveled through the Sky Nation until he was hanging in the clouds above Sacred Mountain. His heart was very happy because he could see all of the little sisters and brothers of the creature tribe playing in the moonlight. He shouted down to Brother Coyote and asked if he could join in the play. Coyote was known by all of the other animals as the trickster, but little Forgets to Twinkle did not know anything about any of the children of Earth because he had never been anywhere but the Sky Nation. Trickster Coyote shouted back that he would be delighted if his little star brother wanted to play with him. But Coyote thought Forgets to Twinkle was too far away. Forgets to Twinkle thought a moment and then decided to come closer, dancing in the sky while Coyote danced with him on the earth. Coyote started talking to the little star brother very softly, making Forgets to Twinkle come closer to hear what the trickster was saying. Softer and softer words of friendship brought the little star out of the sky until he was floating just above Coyote's head. Storyteller paused for just a moment, allowing all the children to wonder what would happen next. When she had every wide-eyed face glued to her, she raised her voice in increments, finally shouting at the scary part. And then that mean old trickster grabbed Forgets to Twinkle and gobbled him up. The children gasped, and some squealed, forgetting their manners for a moment. Well, I suppose that all of you know how terrified Forgets to Twinkle was when he found himself inside the trickster's belly. He was so upset he forgot to twinkle and did not know how in the world he was going to get out safely. Around the same moment that Coyote gobbled up the little star brother, Grandmother Moon looked down and noticed Forgets to Twinkle was nowhere in sight. She looked and looked, but could not see her little star brother anywhere. Because she was concerned, she sent the stars with tails, who were her scouts, out to look for little brother. In those ancient times, the comet people were messengers who could come and go from this great star nation, and these stars with tails searched high and low for little brother without any luck finding him. Inside the trickster's belly, the little star brother was frightened, but he knew that he had better start remembering all the wisdom his 7 sisters taught him, or he would never see them again. After a long while, he finally remembered why he was called Forgets to Twinkle. He had always been afraid that his light was not as pretty as his sisters, and so he would only blink a little light here and there. And now that he was trapped inside Coyote's belly, he decided he had better trust his ability to shine brightly. He huffed and he puffed and sent all of his light into his star body, lighting himself and shining as brightly as he could. The trickster suddenly found that the trick was on him. When his whole furry body lit up like grandfather's sun, Coyote ran and ran, trying to hide from the comet scouts that Grandmother Moon had sent to find little brother. The trickster had seen the stars with tails circling the prairies, looking for Forgets to Twinkle. Old Coyote had thought he could trick the star scouts as easily as he had tricked little brother. And now the slippery trickster was so bright that there was no place he could run or hide without the star scouts finding him. In a panic, the trickster opened his mouth and spit little star brother out, and then ran away. The stars with tails spread the news to the cloud people, who told the thunderers, who told the fire sticks, that the mean old trickster needed a taste of his own medicine. The Sky Nation was filled with the little star brothers' angry relations, who gathered the storms, filling the cloud people with raindrop people and ice beings, who could wet and punch Coyote with their water and ice bodies. I know, the Thunder Chief belched his roaring roar, and the Thunderbird flapped his giant wings, bringing such enormous sounds that the trickster stood quaking in fear. And meanwhile, little Star Brother was trapped in the Earth Mother's magnetism. He could not move from the ground and go home. He was still shining brightly so that his sky relations could see where he was, but no one could rescue him because they would be caught in the planetary mother's magnetism as well. He called out to the Earth Mother and asked her to release him and waited for her reply. The storm was moving across the land, giving the trickster a chance to run as he finally found his paws and started to dodge the pellets of ice and freezing rain. Lightning bolts crashed around him, and one fire stick hit him, finally catching his tail on fire. Coyote ran and ran, trying to think how he could trick the sky relations and make them leave him alone. Little Star Brother finally heard the Earth Mother speak amid the sounds of the thunderers. Her voice traveled on the raging winds that accompany the storm his relations had made. Forgets to twinkle. You are going to have to live with the children of Earth now. If I release my magnetism, you will be able to go home. But all of my children will fall off the earth and go flying into the sky. You are responsible for forgetting to pay attention to Grandmother Moon's advice and warning. There is no way I can help you without hurting my other children. You must stay here with us and decide what kind of creature you would like to become. Forgets to twinkle was sad, but he knew that the Earth Mother was right. He had not paid attention and had been tricked into ignoring Grandmother Moon's warning. He wanted to be a part of the Sky Nation, to see the world from above, as he had always done when he lived with his 7 sisters. He knew that he would never again forget to shine his light brightly because he wanted his sky relations to know where he was and that he remembered his family. He decided to tell the Earth Mother that he wanted to be a flying creature who could shine like a star. The Earth Mother agreed and changed him into a flying, creepy crawler of the insect tribe. She put a tiny star in his tail so that he could twinkle at his sky relations, reminding all other little brothers and sisters in the great star nations what could happen to them if they did not pay attention to the wisdom of their elders. Even now, if Coyote hears thunder or sees a firefly, he will run away in fear. The trickster remembers that the fire sticks caught his tail on fire and that he had to jump into a pond to put it out. Some people say that the fire sticks and thunder beings counted coup on Coyote, bringing victory and honor to little Star Brother. And that is how Forgets to Twinkle earned the name Lightning Bug. His firefly tail lights up to remind Coyote of the only relations that ever out-tricked the trickster by catching his tail on fire. When Firefly's tail lights up, we, the 2-leggeds, are reminded to let our medicine shine and to keep a twinkle in our eyes so the trickster cannot fool us into following the crooked trail. All of the children sat with open mouths or wide eyes, gaping at Storyteller, savoring the richness of little Star Brother's story. Older sisters and brothers came by to gather the wee ones back to the lodges to make ready for the sleep man. They had all heard Storyteller tell the tale of the sleep man and knew that after a nightly story, the sleep man would come to sprinkle sleep sand in their eyes. If the children were still awake, the sleep man would be angry, and their dreams would not be happy dreams. If they were settled for the night, the sleep man would bring happy dreams to the little ones. Everybody wanted happy dreams. And so the tribe never had a problem getting the children tucked into warm sleeping robes and off to dreamland. Storyteller watched as the wee council departed with parents and older siblings. Their tiny voices said, Nawe exo o gadinetka do. Thank you, grandmother. I had fun. The clan mother acknowledged the thanks and farewells and prepared to retire to her lodge. She sent her silent thanks to the Great Mystery for the enrichment that the children brought her into her life and the gifts she was able to pass to the little ones, giving them a strong foundation for growth. She was brought from her thoughts when she heard the howl of Wolf, who always walked beside her in spirit. Her totem gave her the ability to create new paths for learning and teaching. The pack of timber wolves who lived above the river in the hills had been her friends over the many ripening moons when her tribe came to live by the river. Often she had observed their hunting and their play when she visited the upper meadows. She raised her voice to salute her brothers and sisters, returning their greeting with a howl that matched their own. The clan mother's greeting was answered again, signaling that the sleep man was beckoning Storyteller to rest and refresh her body so that she could dream the joys to be found in the coming sun. Later, when Storyteller was nestled in her sleeping robes, She dreamed of Magpie, who was sometimes called the little black eagle in her dream. Magpie was riding the back of Buffalo, feasting on the insects that had collected in Buffalo's fur. The black and iridescent midnight blue of Magpie's feathers shone in the sunlight, flashing amid the white touches of feathers gracing her wings and tail. In the dream, Magpie told of her medicine, which was the talent of relieving the pain of others. Little Black Eagle taught Storyteller that discomfort was a warning that showed change in the body. Magpie told Storyteller that some two-leggeds were not willing to go through any kind of discomfort because they did not understand that chills and fevers were the body's way of shedding limitation. After the human tribe understood the lessons of growth found through the challenges of discomfort, Magpie would send her spirit to remove the discomfort and pain. Like her namesake Eagle, Magpie showed two-leggeds how to find freedom. Eagle taught the freedom of the spirit, and Magpie taught how to allow the spirit's understanding and freedom to enter the body. Storyteller was the listener in her dream, just as the children were her listeners during her waking hours. The keeper of humor nearly woke herself when she laughed while listening to Magpie harping about her cousin from the tropical regions of Turtle Island. Magpie described the winged cousin as having the biggest beak imaginable and bright colored feathers. Because the cousin's beak was so big compared to her body, she was known for having her nose in everyone else's business. But in fact, she noticed everything that could bring harm. Little Black Eagle called the cousin Toucan and said that this cousin's medicine was the warning system of the jungle. Toucan sometimes visited the dreams of the human tribe who lived far, far away in order to make them more observant. When trouble or danger was near, Toucan would fly through the jungle in the tangible world or send her spirit flying through the dream time, calling out a warning to those who needed to heed the danger signal. Magpie nearly always followed Toucan, flying through dreams, showing human beings how to avoid the painful lessons found by not being aware of the warning signs and dangers along the red road of life. Little Black Eagle told the keeper of the medicine stories how her big-beaked cousin's warnings could teach human beings to be aware of situations that could strip them of their physical well-being. Toucan sent a warning in life-threatening situations, reminding unwary daydreamers that paying attention could save them from being physically harmed. Since Toucan lived in a very distant part of Turtle Island, Magpie was introducing the clan mother to Toucan's medicine through the dream, giving Storyteller the knowledge of Toucan's medicine so that she would have his protection if she ever needed it. Storyteller thanked the little Black Eagle for the introduction and for the lessons she had discovered in her dream. When Storyteller awoke, she discovered that Grandfather Sun's light had not yet graced the morning sky, and so she lay in silence, reflecting on the medicine she had received during the night. Story after story filled her head with new ways to share the wisdom that had been presented to her. The clan mother felt a sense of newness as she smelled the dew-covered plants on the morning breeze. Storyteller listened to the water song of the river running near her lodge and was content. The oral traditions would continue to live as long as those who spoke their eternal truths passed them from generation to generation, giving the human children of Earth a way to understand their lives. She was happy that she was a part of the oral legacy and that the creature teachers were willing to share their medicine with her so she could pass the medicine on through the tales she told. The guardian of the medicine stories closed her eyes for a moment and saw the spirit of her new friend, Toucan. Silently, she allowed her thoughts to ask Toucan if the winged one had sent her spirit for a reason or was just greeting the clan mother on this new sun. Toucan spoke to Storyteller, whispering a message that would always be part of the Keeper of Humor's memory. Mother, I have come to tell you that many changes will befall the two-leggeds during the passage of worlds. My warning is twofold. If the children of Earth forget to laugh at themselves, they will perish from the actions they take when seriousness strangles their sense of play and laughter. The human tribe needs to be shown how to use humor to diffuse potentially painful or destructive situations. If they forget how to balance the sacredness with the irreverence, the joy of living will be lost. The second part of my warning concerns the keeping of oral traditions. When a medicine story has been passed to many generations and contains truth, those wise ways will support humans in their growth throughout time. To allow those stories to die would be an injustice. The children of Earth will change. Some will lose their connections to the natural world. If only through their dreams, the medicine stories will keep them connected to the rest of the planetary family. Any person who can speak the truth by telling a tale that will give listeners a way to reflect on their lives without pointing a finger will carry my medicine of warning. If the warnings allow those listening to come back into balance, unity will be achieved. Storyteller thanked Toucan for her twofold warning and then showed her feathered friend how well she had heard the message by replying, "So, my big beak sky sister, I am to remember that if we do not pay attention to the wisdom found in the telling of tales, we may find ourselves showing our tales to the world." Storyteller in the spirit of Toucan laughed and laughed. The sunlight had broken through the pre-dawn grayness. The stern warnings had been taken to heart and understood. The warnings of the hard lessons found in imbalance reflected human pain and sorrow, but laughter had counted coup on the dark clouds that stood as human limitations, seemingly hiding the joys that could be found in being human. Storyteller understood and was willing to face the future with her children, always being mindful that each human being had to find these truths for herself or himself in order to pass through the spirit's evolution. She knew that her stories would be a comfort to the weary on the sacred path, and for that reason, she would give them away so that speaking the truth of wisdom and the sacred traditions would never die. The end. Enjoy June, and let's all see where this story of Storyteller shows up in our own lives. Thank you for listening, and bye for now. Big love to everyone.